Joan Rocks.
How did you first get involved with OATA?
I will say that the culprit in getting me involved was Lisa Kletorowski, who's one of my role models, and Lisa, obviously, as a Hall of Famer, is very well known. Lisa was the state meeting planner many, many years ago, and as she was developing her team, which, as I've learned over the years and found out that that's the obviously not only here at work at Otterbein running a program, but with the OATA running the state meeting symposium for several years, that the members of your team that you put in place are very vital. And I was fortunate enough to be one of those that was selected by Lisa to run the main educational program piece of that. So that was really my start. I did have a little bit of a taste for that working with GLADA back in 2002, early in 2002 when it was here in Columbus, and got to see how the workings of just putting a big program like that together kind of developed and went along. And I thought this would be kind of fun to do because I'm a behind the scenes type person, and most of that is behind the scenes, and so it fit me pretty well. So that's where it started.
What's one of the biggest changes that you've seen in athletic training, either personally or professionally?
That's a great question. Besides the educational content, it's amazing what we are asked to teach our students today compared to and I'm going to date myself, what I went through in the educational process I had at Marietta College. But the educational standards are one of the bigger things I've seen, but I think a better recognition of what athletic trainers do, and knowing that athletic trainers are not just the water people or the taping as the typical public image is concerned with. But I think some of the legislation has come through, and you can talk about everything from concussions to heat illnesses and things along that line. But it's a big understanding more, I think, from the parent side that's really helped us to that's gravitated more to the higher education level, that's really given us a little bit more, and recognition might not be the right word, but just an understanding of what we do.
Absolutely. If you could change anything about athletic training, what would it be?
Definitely salaries still. I know we push hard for that. We really try to work hard for that. I still think that's where the misunderstanding is with the public and the institutions that we work with and the skill set that we have. I know a lot of that is because of not being recognized through the insurance system, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, this with the new leadership coming in Washington and what happens there. But I really think that is just going to be an issue that we just have to keep pushing for. I know as a young professional, when you get your first job, you're offered a salary, it's low, but I know it's hard to walk away from that because you want that job and you don't want to, there's that, and it's hard as a young professional to negotiate that. So I think there are different ways we can navigate through trying to get better salaries, better financial support for everything that the athletic trainers do. I think I'm not sure what's going to happen with the federal labor law, but I think that's going to be helpful as well. So it's baby steps, but that would probably be one of the biggest things I would say. So.
Excellent. If you don't mind us asking, what was your first salary?
That's funny. I actually remember it as an assistant athletic trainer at Heidelberg College at the time. Right out of grad school, it was $17,500 to be an assistant athletic trainer, and that included teaching. So.
Okay. Do you have any pearls of wisdom for the younger members?
I think patience and persistence are two big words that I use with my students. And the other word I put in there all the time is effort. So to me, and I always try to lay the groundwork, and I teach a freshman class, freshman for basic athletic training, and I always try to lay the foundation of, it is about knowledge. It's about attaining knowledge. To me personally, as a professional, at the end of the day, I will never remember if you're a 4.0 student or a 2.75 student, but I will remember if you give consistent effort, if you're positive, if you're persistent, because I think once you learn those skills and you consistently show those skills over a period of time, the grades take care of themselves. And I'm not a big believer of, you have to have 4.0 to be successful. There's some pretty good studies out on that, and I think it's just really, and you know that it's more about knowledge. It's a people profession as well. You need to learn that skill set along with the knowledge, and if you again have the persistence and the effort and the patience to really learn and take things in and go through the experiences, not be afraid to fail and realize it's not going to kill you. You're just going to learn from that and you're going to move on. I mean, we've all made mistakes, but I think that is the foundation that I really try to push with all the students that I work with.
Is there one quote or phrase that you are known for using throughout your career?
There's a couple, but I think the biggest one is actually something that my mom and my twin and I have always lived by, is that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. So everybody has life happen to them, and you're not on an island when something bad happens. It is guaranteed it's happened to somebody else as well, and there's guaranteed when you're feeling kind of crummy and you're having those days, which we all do. We're human, but there's a lot of people out there that are having worse days. So. So I really try to hammer that one home with my students as well, just to realize that it's really, you have a choice. You have a choice in the morning when you get up if you want to be in a good mood or a bad mood, and if it takes an extra cup of coffee to get going, but recognize that, get it done, and make it a great day every day.
Absolutely. Do you have any favorite memories being involved with the OATA?
I read that question, and I will be honest with you, that really made me smile because, I can't remember 8 or 10 years of working with a symposium. Every year produced a different bank of memories for me, and we consistently had the team led by Lisa mainly, that she put together to run the symposium. We just had a really good team, and I think, and there were some people that came in and off, but of the committee, but that team, to me, really working with the local committees every year and meeting those people, that was such an engaging, memorable experience for me, because we always met new people, and that's one of the other things I try to live by with my students is, at the end of the day, it's really about the relationships that you make, and it just is so much fun for me to meet other athletic trainers that have the passion to really promote the profession, to do everything they can to make it work, especially in the state of Ohio. There's no doubt, having been to GLADA and the national not so much anymore, but for me personally, but just because I love what is done in Ohio. Ohio is really had some really neat things. There's no doubt that they're the leaders in a lot of athletic training initiatives, and we have a ton of role models to follow. So I can't tell you that it's one memory. It's just there's chapter after chapter of memories just through working through not only the OATA, but just the different young professionals that come on board, and the different events that happen, whether it's a quiz bowl or a different symposium or a GCATS meeting, whatever the case is. Those are all pretty good memories.
What would you say is the best part about being an athletic trainer?
That's another great question. And I thought about that last night as well, and I think there's two things for me. One is the ability to make a difference, and I think that is an opportunity that every athletic trainer has, and that's not just about healing the injuries and getting the athlete back to return to play. It's about developing that respect and understanding with the athletes that you're working with, so they can someday say, hey, I had an athletic trainer that really knew their stuff, that worked really hard, that got me back, that prevented a lifelong injury situation, from me from happening. So I think really at the end of the day, it is about making a difference on multiple levels.
What does it mean to be an athletic trainer to you?
Well, it's been my life, so at times it's consumed my life, but I think it's also will always have a big place in my heart. It's something I didn't know anything about going to college, because I went to college I started pre-med, and ironically took chemistry at Marietta and realized at the end of that semester that, okay, this is not going to work very well in my course of study here. And I was fortunate, and I think, life's about timing sometimes, and I was lucky to go to an institution that had athletic training, and I believe it was one of the first accredited programs in Ohio became accredited my senior year. At the time we were in an internship program, but I met the right people, got involved with athletic training my sophomore year, so I was a year behind. But it was just one of those things. Like I try to teach my students as well. Like you'll know, it's either I do believe it's a profession either you love or you don't. There's not a lot of middle ground, I don't think, and just because of how challenging it is in a good way. But you have to know a lot. You have to be on top of a lot. You have to really be engaged, and and unfortunately the hours is probably going back to one of your other questions. I'd probably change that a little bit too. Is the hours, but I think it's been my life. It's been trying to figure out how to diagnose injuries over the phone to my nieces and nephews to really just it's what I do. It's what I love. I love teaching it. I never thought that would be the case coming out of undergraduate and graduate school, but it's just one of those things where I got fortunate to be in the right job at the right time, and it just really became everything I've done for the last 30 years.
Awesome. So you told us a little bit about undergrad. Can you tell us a little bit more about your career, where you went from there?
Sure, absolutely. I went from Marietta College and was fortunate enough to receive a graduate assistantship to go to Canisius College in Buffalo, New York. And that was an interesting year and a half, mainly because it was a Division I sports for everything but football was Division III, which is kind of weird how that works. But just working with that caliber of athlete and the expectation level, plus going to graduate school. But it ended up being, I will say, probably one of the best years and a half I've ever had. The people I met there were phenomenal. The Pete Kadenkeys, the Mike Dolans, who really were key members in developing our profession even further. I didn't know them before I went there. I didn't even know who Pete Kadenke was, and now we all Pete's a legend. So I was lucky to work with him for a year and a half. From there, I went right to the college level. I knew at the end of graduate school, having taught a little bit, that's really what I wanted to do. So I looked for jobs at the higher education level. Being from Pittsburgh, I wanted to stay in a little bit of a radius, about a 6-hour radius around there. So, applying for different jobs and landed the assistant athletic trainer position at Heidelberg. Again, I was very lucky. It was a brand new position, so I didn't have any shoes to fill. At the time, there weren't many females in the profession, so they were looking for a female. So I was pretty lucky. That everything fell in place from that point on. So I started there as an assistant athletic trainer and ended up being the head athletic trainer and program director. Tried to get a program started there, but it ran into some roadblocks curricular-wise, which I don't think was neither here nor there. But I saw the writing on the wall that it wasn't really going to be supported financially at that point in time. Now I think they have a really good program right now. So, seeing that, I looked for positions again within a little bit of a 4 to 6 mile radius of Pittsburgh, and assistant athletic trainer position opened up at Otterbein. It was a little bit of a quandary for me, like, I'm a head athletic trainer, program director. Do I want to take an assistant athletic trainer position? But ironically, the salary was a little bit better. It was in a bigger city. Tiffin was a little bit small for me. It was kind of limited on things that you could do. What I called tiny Tiffin, Ohio. So. But, it served its purpose. Had a lot of great experiences there, and then was fortunate to receive the position here at Otterbein, and kind of the rest is history, I guess. I look back. It's interesting when you look back and reflect on where and why things happen the way they do. And I can honestly say that, things fell in place for me, and people before me left and moved on, and I was fortunate enough to be able to, fill those shoes and fill that role and really do what I love doing. And so I've been given a lot of great opportunities here, and I wouldn't trade it in for anything.
Awesome.